Hello everyone, welcome to a 16 Halls of Atonement. I am excited to say that I did a Halls of Atonement 16 on probably my third total attempt. I think Halls of Atonement is a lot easier than it used to be pre-nerf. On this first pull, all you gotta do is watch out, give the tank time to pull those adds. Then you're going to want to dispel the tank probably sooner than I did, but you're also going to want to help interrupt here. And you're going to have to catch up on heals. You don't want to pull aggro, so you're trying to be a little careful on how much you heal. Now, you are going to want to not dispel the tank because you are going to have to prioritize these Mark of Obliterations, which are going to go on DPS. So save your cooldowns when you can. You're going to want to use a cooldown, Convoke, Lumithar's Living Silk, or your Tranquility, and your Two Nature's Grasps, all of those, when the mini-boss here, I'll call him a mini-boss, does Thrash, because that raid-wide damage will wipe your team at a 16 key, if you do not use one, essentially. I used Lumithar's Living Silk on that last one, and I had full heal over times on my party, and no one's health bars were essentially moving. That's when you know you're keeping your DPS very comfortable. What I could have done better here is added in some interrupts. I was really trusting my group with interrupts here, and I shouldn't do that. I could have used my Vortex and my Typhoon and interrupt some casts. It's a little late now. For this pull, I wouldn't stress about adding any damage because there's a lot you have to do. You have to dispel, you have to keep up full heal over times in your party, and you have to dodge the circles on the floor. So in terms of positioning, you do have to watch your feet, you have to keep full heal over times up, and you have to use a cooldown when that Thrash comes out. Okay, so there's a lot to manage here. Cooldowns, heal over times on the party, interrupts, watch your feet for the circles on the ground, a lot going on, and dispels. Okay, so full-time healer job there. But the good news is you can kind of take a breather after that. These next groups are not necessarily easy because it really depends on how good your group is at kicking or interrupting the spell cast. Definitely help out on the loyal beast like I did there. Since our single interrupt is not that great on a Resto Druid, I like to make sure I'm like a backup kick. So I'll look out for the really priority things to kick, which is loyal beasts on the Houndmasters, okay? Or if I realize a squishy DPS player is getting targeted by a spell and he's like 50% health or something, I will interrupt those as well if I catch them. But otherwise here, use your dispels on cooldown, add in, heal over times. You probably don't have to have as many heal over times in your party as I have. I'm just being extra careful because I know that I don't really have to add DPS for us to time this key, but I certainly got to keep everyone alive, right? In a pug, you never know who's going to take damage. When you are getting shot by the shoot, I would shift into bear form. It doesn't do as much damage as per se a hot shot in Sacred Flame of the Priory dungeon, but it definitely still hurts. Here you're definitely going to help with interrupts. I cast my shout, and you can also add in your Vortex and your Typhoon, but definitely when this Thrash comes out, you have to be using something here. Okay, I think I did muscle that one, but you're gonna have to use something, period. Now, I did change something a little bit with my build. I added the skill that allows you to use Tranquility and reduce the cooldown of your other spells by 20 seconds. I realized that when I was running a Sacred Flame Priory, I needed that extra 20 seconds on that Convoke because I really needed Convoke to make it past certain pools, and I'm really liking that change. I got rid of my Grove Guardians, my Treants, for that, and totally worth it because I was barely using the Grove Guardians, and so personal change to my build. But essentially here, kind of rinse and repeat from before. Not as hard as the first pull, but definitely you got to watch out for those Thrashes. You have to respect the Thrashes on a 16 key. On a 15 key, you definitely got to try for those Thrashes, but on a 16 key, like, I don't even chance it. I will keep full heal over times on the party, as in 2 rejuvenations if possible, life blooms, 2 life blooms out, and a wild growth out as well. That's probably excessive, but at least on the first few pulls, I don't know who is squishy and who is not, who is stacking versatility and who is not. You know as a healer when some people take more damage than others. Some groups take more damage than others. For example, we have a Paladin here, which does reduce the damage taken group-wide by Devotion Aura, and I believe Judgment as well. So make sure on these mobs, again, we're kind of rinsing and repeating. Dispels, help with the interrupts while you can, Add in damage once you're feeling comfortable, but I wouldn't get behind on your other responsibilities, specifically dispelling and keep everyone at 100%. But add in damage when you can. It's just very difficult to. So yeah, I was trying and I was like, okay, screw it. Like I have too much to do right here. In pre-made keys, like you're playing with an organized group, like, only the tank's health bar will move a lot of the time. And yeah, sure, you can add in damage and those kind of things. But in a pug, just like all sorts of people take damage at different times, right? And so here we go. Now it's safe. Now I add damage. During these pools and halls, you can probably add in more damage at the end of the pool because you don't have to stress as much about your responsibilities. So right here, you'll see me add in a little bit on those last mobs. Not really super helpful, but nice to pad a little bit of numbers. Okay, so here on this pool again, we're looking out for loyal beasts. Otherwise, I'm just dispelling, keeping my tank alive. My tank is taking a lot of damage. Paladin tanks, they help the group in terms of damage, but they can take damage if they don't manage their defense as well. So I was keeping them alive, blasting nature's grasps here and there, and just making sure I keep everyone up, particularly if my dispel is on cooldown. I'm making sure someone who has the Mark of Obliteration is getting good heals with a Life Bloom. So put Life Bloom on people who get Mark of Obliteration, particularly if you're not dispelling it. So I make sure right there, Life Bloom on the guy who has Mark of Obliteration. Spam and heals. I use my Tranquility. Tranquility is your oh crap button when you feel like you're getting behind and you know what it feels like when you're healing those health bars. Then just feel free to go for the Tranquility. You don't necessarily need the Tranquility once you make it past those big stone golems when they do their thrashes. Okay, after that, Tranquility, use it freely to get your Convoke a little lower on cooldown, or make your Convoke come up sooner by 20 seconds if you are talented for it. Okay, here we go. End of the pool. This is where I add in a little bit of damage to help out and just pad some numbers a little bit. I don't know how much that little bit of damage actually matters. I don't believe it does. But all right. Nothing much new here. Again, same pool as kind of the first one. Alright, so we're going to pull some ads in here to the boss. This is going to be difficult for the tank. Like, the tank is the person who's going to have the most, is in the most danger here. So I am going to be focusing him. I'm going to dispel on cooldown. I'm going to keep full heal over times up on him if I can. I should have had a Life Bloom on them there. That was an error on my part. If someone gets Mark of Obliteration, definitely put a Life Bloom on them, right? That's kind of one of the major tips here in this whole kind of first area. Now, don't be afraid to use cooldowns in the beginning. I used my Lumathars here early because I knew there was going to be a lot of damage going out. This is probably the most dangerous part of this whole boss encounter because of the extra ads. So what do you have to know for this boss? Positioning. In the beginning, before he does his beams, you are going to have to bait all those circles towards the back of the room. The tank will get one on them, and then it'll go as well on DPS players. It's generally about 4 to 5 abilities. If you have a boss timer ability thing, you'll be able to see it. For example, Heavy Debris on my boss timer is coming up in 6 seconds. And Heavy Debris is on a DPS player, so if I was paying better attention, I would go closer to the back of the room, just in case it baits on me, because you do, if you put it all towards the back of the room, then your tank doesn't have to pull the boss out as much, which is just easier for everyone. And so here comes a Heavy Debris. Like, if your DPS or range, you should bait. Like, I was not towards the super back, but at least it was kind of, in the back of the room-ish. Demon Hunter died there. I think he stood in something. Yeah, he acknowledged that, I think. But here comes another Heavy Debris. I should get closer to the back of the room because it could go on me, right? I'm not sure if it just switches players every single time. I don't know that mechanic well enough. But here comes the beams now. You're going to bring them out. You're going to go into cat form for the beams, okay? There's not really anything else to do here when the beams come out. You don't have to heal anyone. So this is where you go into a cat form, rake, rip, and bite if you have full combo points. Okay, just unload as much damage as you can here. Use any buffing of damage abilities you have, like your racials or your Heart of the Wild ability. And if you want to use Convoke because you were doing so well, go for it. But I generally just use my Convoke, for these debris because they do serious damage at a 16 key. Like, it's doing 50% to everyone, even with my heal over times up. And so it does probably, on a naked person, about 60% of their health, right? Which is pretty dangerous. And there's a lot of them that come out, right? So you do have to heal the whole party up a lot of the time. It's pretty much like a sacred toll. One sacred toll every time the boss does this. Perhaps a little bit weaker sacred toll, because sacred tolls do hit for a lot at a 16 key. So again, damage. Once you get in the groove of it, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with just throwing out damage here. But just remember to position yourself to the back of the room before the heavy debris come out. Crumbling Slam's always on tanks, so tanks usually pretty good about putting those where they need to put them. But for example here, next one, yep, see, I baited a bad one there. That was me. That was my fault. Could have baited better, but I kind of don't really care. I know we almost have him killed, and we got plenty of space to work with. But ethical, it would have been better to stack a little bit more to the back of the room. Just make sure you get heal over times up on the whole party. You are going to be blasting mana here, so that's just how it's going to be, because it is a lot of damage to handle. But at least it gives you a nice damage window here, which is a nice little breather right here to get some mana back and just relax a little. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for this boss. This boss is not hard. I don't think I've ever seen a group wipe here on a higher key. So that's good news. But this next pull is the serious business, okay? This next pull is, there's people save lust for this, because it is one of the most dangerous pulls in the entire dungeon. So here we go. Tank's going to pull a big mob here. There is a lot of dangerous damage that comes out here. I would be lying if I said I fully understood the damage mechanics here. But I just know that, I see people go from 100 to 0 really fast here, and it's really dangerous. I'm sure people can add in the comments what the mechanics are here, who are the ones who are actually doing the damage. But here, I don't mess around, because I've seen so many groups right here. So I will keep full, real full heal over times up on the party. I won't care about mana here, because I know I'll get time to drink, and so I'm just gonna be blasting. I even blast my Convoke early, because I figure it'll give me a little bit of damage too. But I just, everything early. Don't worry about holding back here. Usually I play very conservative with my heals, but on this pool, I'm just nope, we are not dying here. After a smooth run, I will not let my team die here on this pack. I feel like it's just not a cool place to go down. Once all the little ankle biters go down and everything else, then you're pretty much free to add in damage, but still be careful, you never know. But a dangerous pool. So don't hold back. Keep everyone alive. And so here we go. This area, honestly, this whole dungeon really depends on the tank. If the tank doesn't know how to pull things smoothly in Halls of Atonement, it's pretty much curtains. This is a very tank-heavy based dungeon, not a heals-heavy dungeon, to be honest with you. Yes, the thrashes are probably very hard, very difficult, but otherwise it's just dispels and interrupt casts. It's more like an interrupt dungeon, and a tank has to have a really good sense of the group and route. I've seen many tanks, for example, pull the Houndmasters too far, attempt to take 2 big pulls, and Houndmasters cast Loyal Beast, and it's over pretty much. I've seen that a couple times now, at least at higher keys. So it's really routes, and once you got the pattern down, very simple pattern here in terms of healing, until we get to the boss. Okay, for Echelon here, this is actually a tough fight, particularly if you're bringing extra adds in like we are. The Mark of Obliterations are no fun when you're having to top everyone off, but what you're going to have to do is make sure pretty much that the party has heal over times up almost all times, honestly. Particularly when these ads come out, because the most dangerous thing here is when the ads die, they do wide damage essentially. So if all the ads die at the same time, which is very likely to happen, your team is going to lose a crap ton of health. Did you see that right there? I freaked out. I honestly went into full panic mode right here because I was not ready for it. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not know that the ads did damage when they died until I did this video, okay? It happened so fast in game, so what the hell happened? I don't know. I'm just going to keep healing, so I'm going to pump. Because on a 15 key, with my heal over times up on the party, I didn't even notice them dying, because the damage was, yes, it came, but the heal over times took care of it. But on a 16 key, when those things die, wow, they do damage. At this 16 key level, this is where you feel those ads dying, really feel it. And so you have to be ready for it. I might even save a cooldown for when they're about to die, or use my Lumithar's Living Silk before they die, or even use a Tranquility when they're about to die. See that? Whoa, holy crap, I'm freaking out right here. I don't even know what's going on. That's the hilarious part, right? So here it is for you in slow-mo. It's about to come out. I do have heal over times up on everyone, full heal all the times up, and everyone still almost dies. I could use Tranquility, I could use Convoke, I could have used Wild Growth, I could even just stopped and cast some regrowths, but I was freaking out. I was like, what the hell is going on? It was hilarious. Now that, you know, looking back, it was hilarious. Then I was freaking out, panicking. But that's the most dangerous thing you have to watch out for, okay? And now, the boss has a couple other things you have to watch out for. Yes, don't stand in the red puddles on the ground. That's obvious. Don't stand in that orange circle when it gets cast on someone. But when that does get cast on someone, that orange circle, you are going to have to really spam heals on that person. You're going to have to make sure they got Life Bloom, 2 Rejuvenations, and then cast both your clear casted regrowths on them, or just keep spamming them with regrowth till they're recovered. You can also use an Iron Skin on them. I will use an Iron Skin on a squishy party member. Here we go again. And of course, if you get targeted with that ability where you have you know, that circle on you, you're going to have to obviously go into the ads to kill all the ads. Yes, I believe if you're looking at this kind of video, you'd know that piece already. Extra tip, you can use your Typhoon to knock some of the ads into the circle. Very helpful. Watch out for when they die, right? Very dangerous. I didn't know that. Hilarious. Okay. Otherwise, it's rinse and repeat from there on. Again, if you get Flesh to Stone, if someone gets Flesh to Stone on them, spam heals. There we go. Life Bloom. I already have Rejuvenations up. I'm going to be going regrowths for sure here. He's a Death Knight who's really tanky, so I'm not going to really stress too hard. But here we go. Adds up again. I would start casting out full heal over times in the party now. In retrospect, I did not. And I might even cast a Convoke when they die, or just start spamming regrowths now, before that happens. You don't want to react like I did. You're going to have a heart attack for no reason. Do it before that happens. Look how fast that happened, because they all generally die at the same time, right? Scary. Okay, and then it's rinse and repeat. Keep up heavy heals on someone who gets the Flesh to Stone. If you get the Flesh to Stone, you're going to have to go into bear form. I don't think I got it once this whole time, but if you get Flesh to Stone cast on you, use your bark skin if you have it, and then also switch into bear form, and obviously go walk near all the stoned mobs if there are any, okay? But you are going to have to go into bear form. If you do not go into bear form, you're probably going to die. Then go to bear form and cast Frenzy Rejuvenation. Frenzy Regeneration. This is the last drink you're going to get for a long time. Okay, so make sure you drink to full here if you can. All right, because you're really not going to be able to drink until the end, until the dungeon's over. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I think someone pulled aggro a little too soon, and so that's on them. There's nothing I could have done to heal through that, but otherwise I did use Lumithar's Living Silk here, so I was starting to freak out. This is a pretty damage intensive pull here, so don't be afraid to use cooldowns. It will be pretty difficult. You will also have to probably help interrupt the Houndmaster, or I would at least have that in the back of my mind while I'm keeping everyone up here. I would keep full heal over times up on the party here, just because you never know when all that spiky damage comes out. This is a very spiky damage intensive run. If people are getting those shoots on them, that is pretty serious damage. And I wouldn't say you have to bear form a shoot as long as you got some heal over times on you, but if you're getting 2 shoots on you, like I would definitely go into bear form there. Okay, otherwise keep heals up, don't let anyone die. I would not stress out about damage here, not in pug at least. But yes, otherwise difficult pull as well, probably one of the more difficult pulls for the whole dungeon. Everyone's trying to take a breather after the last boss too, right? Mentally, I'm sure. Okay, and so if you're going to time this key, what's likely going to happen is the next group of mobs is probably going to be pulled into the boss, which is also going to make it a very difficult pull, okay? So just be ready for it mentally. You don't want to pull aggro, so be a little careful with what you're doing running up, but definitely cast Dispel on cooldown here, right? You're going to have 2 marks of obliterations out here, so I'm probably not going to Dispel the tank. I'm going to save my Dispels for the DPS players, and since there's a lot of ads here, I am going to try and keep full heal over times up. I'm prioritizing Dispelling myself because I'm generally the squishiest person here. I'm leather armor, right? And so heavy damage going out. The tank is going to take a lot of damage if you're pulling in ads, but otherwise the tank probably won't take any damage at all if there are no ads. You are going to have to Dispel on cooldown here, and the person who doesn't have a Dispel, you'll see my general strategy will be I will Dispel and then have Life Bloom on the other one. Obviously, make sure that you have conscious awareness of where the pillars are, so just in case you get the haunting like I did, you can kite to it ASAP. All right, see now, dispel, and then on the dispel when you can, and then when you can't dispel, make sure you got a life bloom on them. For example, my dispel's on cooldown, so I'm a little bit freaking out here, spamming heals. Spam dispel on cooldown, and make sure you got life blooms on people who have the dispel on them. Okay, period. I panicked a little bit. I can totally feel it just from watching this in back in time, retrospectively. Make sure you sprint over to the pillars when you get it on you, and know that when those guys are hunting, there will be raid-wide damage, right? So I will use a cooldown there if I have one, or I will just make sure I'm spamming heals while that's going on. Okay, make sure that people got heal over times up here. Otherwise, once you get into the swing of thing, it's a pretty simple fight. It's pretty repetitive, but the only problem is you also have to watch your feet, because there is a lot of crap that goes on the ground here, right? And so watch your feet, dispel on cooldown, heal over times up, at least on the people who have the circle on them, right? And watch out for the haunting, kite the haunting to the pillars when you need it, or when you need to do so, and also start doing raid-wide healing. Use your Nature's Grasp when you get in trouble, like there, where you're kind of getting behind. Now, it's really important to pull the adds into the boss here on a 16 key, because look how long this fight is going. It's a very long fight. This boss has a crap ton of health, okay, and so much running around that people have to do that I feel like damage is probably a little bit lower. I didn't check, but this boss just takes forever to kill. And as a healer, you're just praying for it to be over on a 16 key. Honestly, on a 15 key, I barely even sweat this boss, but on a 16 key, I was like, man, this stuff is starting to do damage now. I was kind of freaking out. I was like, please be over. When will this fight be over? Because I have to watch my feet, run around, so I'm dancing around, gassing heals, making sure I'm sticking next to the pillar. There's a lot of movement in this boss. Not necessarily a lot of hard output heals you have to do, but it's pretty much full mechanics. You got to dispel, move, blast heal. When I mean blast, like cooldown heal, Nature's Grasp heal, and there's just a lot going on. And while keeping your heal over times up. The only thing you're not doing is interrupting, but you could interrupt here, and you could add damage. You could do everything. There's a lot going on this boss fight, and it takes forever, and so you have to also watch out for mana, because you are not really going to be able to get a good time to drink, except for after this boss very quickly, because everyone's going to straight run to the mini-boss. So you're probably going to get a few seconds to drink, so do be a little careful on how much mana you're blasting, and I say that because of how long the fight is. Okay, I know I'm only going to get, I'm not even going to drink here. I was mentally ready. I was like, I know I'm not going to be able to drink because they're going to have to rush this. I know the timing's getting tight. They are going to burn Lust as soon as this ability is over. I know it's coming, so I'm getting ready, knowing I probably don't have to use a cooldown because I'm just going to use the Lust here to help out. I'm even going to add in some damage here. Burning this boss is important, so all the little bit of damage helps, I'm sure. But know that once those ads start getting over and the boss starts planning himself, there's going to be some damage, raid-wide damage that comes out. I would just say that if you keep full heal over times in your party and class your 2 of your clear casted regrowths when they're up, you're probably not going to have to do more than that. So feel comfortable to go in and add in some damage. I just was scared and nervous here. This is my first time doing the 16 halls. Well, not the first time, but actually it was probably the first time I made it this far in the 16 halls. Maybe no, second time, I think. So I wasn't totally comfortable, so I was just trying to be a little conservative. But know that as long as you're not getting behind, notice here I'm getting behind and I'm probably going to have to use stuff. Oh, we just killed him. After killing him, yeah, this stuff does damage. Don't drop your guard once he's over, like most people do, including myself. Make sure you keep those heals rolling after the boss dies, because these ads do damage, all right? Okay. Now we're on to the last boss. Honestly, this boss is super easy, at least from a Resto Druid perspective, okay? You obviously have to watch out for those and dodge that, unlike the Hunter there, unfortunately, who totally just blanked out, all right? Otherwise, if you want to be super safe, you can keep full healer times on your party at all times. Because really, those pillars start to do damage now. Those pillars do approximately 55% of the party's health in damage if they don't have heal over times up, probably about 50%. So you do have to make sure you have heal over times up, because it really will help with the maintenance healing when that pillar hits, okay? Honestly, your heal over times could probably take care of all of it, but just to be safe, Make sure you have heal over times up before the pillars come out. Then just cast your clear casted regrowths, and you're going to be good on mana. You are not going to need a whole lot of mana for this fight. Honestly, just one rejuvenation, clear casted regrowths will probably be good enough to get you steady until the next pillar comes out or the next damaging ability. All right, yep, here comes another damaging ability. I do try to add in damage. You do want to add your rake and your rips in when you can, when you're feeling comfortable. Obviously, don't stand in red circles. Now, here we go. This is the hardest ability to fight. Stay away because you don't want to get hit by one of those pillars. And stand in between those pillars when they get shot out so you don't get hit. Then start blasting. Okay, you should save one cooldown at least for this, and you should make sure everyone has heal over times up. I was very lucky that the Death Knight put anti-magic zone up. Very nice. Perfect timing on that. But you're going to have full heal over times up. You're going to have to cast your 2 clear caster regos, and you're going to have to use a cooldown. If it's a weak cooldown, you might even need to, pop your skins, your iron skin and your bark skin. So just be ready for it. That is the hardest time of the whole boss encounter here. Otherwise, it's just rinse and repeat. At least one healer time up on the party, clear caster regrowths, and you're good. Add in damage once you get more comfortable. And just dodge pillars. Do not forget about the pillar. Watch that thing. Okay, watch that thing. There we go. And now I'm getting into routine, right? Clear caster regrowths. I'm slowing down on how many heals over times are on the party now, if you haven't noticed. I am doing a wild growth because wild growth is kind of perfect for it. If you cast that wild growth right as that pillar hits, it's pretty much going to get everyone to full, so long as everyone has one rejuvenation up. Here we go again. Place yourself in between the pillars so when they shoot out, you don't get hit. Choose a side. They don't generally require healers to take a spot here, but I just like to do just in case. But otherwise, spam heals here. Do not hold back, okay? Better you over heal than under heal this. Don't lose now just because you conserve, too conservative here. All right. I didn't even need to use the cooldown, the convoke there, but I was like, oh wow, I made it through without convoke, so I just used it for damage there. All right, otherwise, here we go. Rinse and repeat, and we're all good. Lumithar's Living Silt is perfect for that major boss ability, by the way. But otherwise, it might feel scary when those pillars are coming out, but in retrospect, you don't have to really sweat the pillars, okay? All you need, cast Swiftmen, then Wild Growth right after the pillar hits, and that's probably going to take care of all this damage that's about to hit right now. Okay, I'm not even doing that, but I'm saying all you do, Swiftman, then Wild Growth, so you get a little bit stronger Wild Growth, and it probably handles all of it, which is great. So in my next time I do this, and tip for you is I'm probably going to be doing a lot more damage, not freaking out so much about the pillars. You don't have to get everyone to full health as fast as I did, because there's no damaging abilities that come out until the next pillar here. And so you have plenty of time, so you don't need to sweat it like I was, all right? But otherwise, I hope you learned something from this video. This group was pretty awesome. This tank was amazing. He was a Giga Chad tank. So when you have a smooth tank in Halls, it's going to go great. Halls is one of those ones you either have the group for it or you don't. And so just keep trying, okay? Otherwise, Pinkpwnage out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you for watching.